With opioid deaths on the rise, the White House is cracking down on fentanyl.
After last month's indictment, former President Trump requests a cooling-off period before his next trial begins.
And one common antibiotic is running out. Where to find amoxicillin today?
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV News at Noon.
Thank you for joining ntTV News at Noon. I'm Mariana Williams.
And I'm Lillian Kosh. As a way to work around the ongoing police officer shortage, Texas lawmakers passed a bill Tuesday that would allow school districts in rural counties to hire extra security for their campus. Now counties with under 200,000 residents will be able to hire honorably charged veterans or honorably retired and qualified police officers as volunteer security. Lawmakers clarified that these volunteers would not be considered active officers, but would still undergo training and be authorized to carry a handgun. However, individual districts will be able to choose what type of training the volunteers will receive and what type of uniforms they would wear. The volunteers would also work with school resource officers and receive liability protections.
Former President Donald Trump has asked a judge to delay a sexual assault and defamation trial following his historic indictment. This case, brought by former magazine columnist E. Jean Carroll, was scheduled to start on April 25th. Trump's legal team wants that date pushed to the end of May. They say it would allow for a cooling-off period following Trump's indictment for falsifying business records to cover up hush money payments made to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Trump has pleaded not guilty to those charges. He has also denied sexually assaulting Carroll.
A Texas state representative has been accused of having potentially inappropriate relations with an intern. According to reports, an internal complaint has been filed against GOP lawmaker Brian Slayton, alleging he invited an intern under the age of 21 to his home and shared alcohol with her, and then told the intern not to speak about it with anyone else. Slayton's legal team said the claims are false. The investigation is reportedly ongoing, and investigative committee's chairman said he will not release any comments at this time.
An explosion at a dairy farm in West Texas killed more than 18,000 cattle, and it also critically injured one person. Reporter Sydney Batzlav takes a look at what caused this massive explosion.
This is the remains of the South Fork Dairy Farm in Dimmitt.
Part of this main part here where the cattle are held is probably a total loss, possibly. The dairy part, there's probably some damage from the smoke and maybe the fire.
Sheriff Rivera says the extent of damage is still under investigation. It all started Monday night when Castro County Sheriff's Office had multiple calls coming in about an explosion and fire. Then more calls came in saying some employees were trapped inside a building. When officers arrived, they found only one worker inside.
Dimmitt Fire personnel entered with their self-breathing apparatuses and were able to pull that person out. Eventually, that person was flown to Lubbock by AeroCare to UMC.
We have learned that worker is a woman and remains in critical condition at last check. Upwards of 18,000 cattle also died. Now for the cause, it's still under investigation.
It was probably what they call a honey badger, and that is what sucked. It's like a vacuum that sucks the manure and water out, and it's possibly that it got overheated, and probably the methane and things like that may have ignited and then spread out with an explosion in the fire.
For a while there, I was getting so fed up with my allergies. I mean, the constant sneezing, it got to be too much.
No, I agree. My allergies were too much for me as well. But luckily, I know our weatherman, Victor Villagrán, has some great news for us. So, Victor, go ahead and tell us the updates.
Thanks, y'all. Gotcha! Spring allergies are officially dropping off. The summer months of June, July, and August are the least active months for pollen in North Texas, with May being the gateway to the spring pollen freedom. That being said, North Texas is subject to year-round allergies, whether it be grass pollen in the summer or ragweed in the fall. So if you really want to avoid all that, just don't go outside. But if you don't go outside, you'll miss out on this incredible weather we're getting because it's really just nice and sunny outside right now. Currently in Denton, we're seeing up to like 73 degrees, feeling like 73 and 9 miles per hour wind speeds. So as you can see, it's a very, very normal sunny day. Great day to go outside. Looking later tonight, we're going to see that temperature stays almost exactly the same. 75 with a wind speed of 10, clear skies. Very normal weather today we're seeing. And tomorrow it's going to be looking like Groundhog Day because the weather is almost exactly the same as it is today. 73 again, with only the wind speed slightly higher, up to 11 miles per hour, and still all sun. Later on the show, I'm going to be telling you more about what's going on later this week and how close it's going to look to today. Back to y'all at the desk.
Later in the show, we'll look at some students getting awarded here on campus.
Have you ever worked on campus before?
I have not worked on campus. Have you?
I have not, but I know a lot of people that do, and I appreciate their work. So we'll hand it over to Valet right now.
Huh? What? Thanks, Lillian. When it comes to working on campus, most people see it as a quick income, but it's way more than that. It's about career readiness, and it's also part-time jobs making a difference while students are in planning their career, whether it's dropping in or dropping out. This spring, UNT has roughly 4,530 students attending, and 6,464 of those students are also employee. This week, the National Student Employee Association are not only recognizing these students for their outstanding work while attending college, but it's also to spread awareness of how important student employing is and its role in higher education. This year, the Career Center has collaborated with Chief and Senior Lecturer Louis Malanga and his students at the club at Gateway Center to present the Student of the Year Employee Luncheon and Award Ceremony. The collab allows students employing nominees and their supervisors to feel a little bit appreciated and as well for them to share an invaluable experience. The Student Employee of the Year started at 11 a.m. and will end at 12:30 p.m. Ariana and Lillian, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Valet. And while students are getting awarded here on campus, I heard the city of Arlington was getting awarded something too.
That's right, and if you're a soccer fan, it should make your day. Our sports anchor, Amanda Malini, has more on what's to come into Arlington this year. Amanda?
Lots of big events are going on in Arlington these days. Taylor Swift concerts, baseball games, and now the World Cup. AT&T Stadium has hosted a few qualifiers in the past, but this year they're looking for something a little bit bigger. AT&T will be hosting matches for the Gold Cup in 2023. This tournament is an important qualifier for the 2026 World Cup, and AT&T will be joining 13 other stadiums across the U.S. in hosting matches for this tournament. Renovations began on the stadium in February to get the field up to FIFA standards in all hopes of hosting the World Cup finals in 2026. Sources say that FIFA has decided it will either be SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles or AT&T Stadium right here in Arlington. We've got plenty of stuff happening in Arlington, and I'll tell you a little bit more later in the show, so stay with us.
Walking in the desert for days at a time. He finally comes across a bar and orders a Coke.
That's not funny.
Eh?
Can I see your voter registration, please? All right, you're good. No registration, no entry. All right. Let me see your voter registration card, please.
I'm not registered to vote.
No registration, no entry.
Dude, my friends are already in there.
No registration, no entry.
What the?
Join the club. Register to vote today.
Time in history, the White House declared a drug to be an emerging threat to the country. The Biden administration made the declaration about the powerful synthetic opioid fentanyl combined with xylazine. Xylazine is an animal tranquilizer, also known as tranq. Officials say it's been found in almost 50 states and linked to an increasing number of overdose deaths. The Drug Enforcement Administration says tranq was found in 23% of fentanyl powders and 7% of fentanyl pills. While the FDA has approved xylazine for veterinary medicine, it is not approved for use in humans. Experts say when used by drug users, it can leave severe skin ulcers and rotting skin that could lead to amputation.
At the same time, the U.S. is facing another drug issue, this time related to a lack of medicine. The Disease Control and Prevention Centers are monitoring a rise in invasion group A strep infections in U.S. kids. The antibiotic commonly used to treat it may be hard to get. Reporter Mandy Gather has more on what this illness is and what parents can do if they can't find the medicine doctors prescribe. Take a look.
It's the prescription most often given to children to treat Group A strep infections such as strep throat and scarlet fever. But there's a national shortage of the liquid antibiotic amoxicillin, and it comes at a time when the CDC is keeping an eye on a rise in the severe form of the illness.
Group A strep is not just, a sore throat. It can lead to many complications.
Group A strep infections can range from minor to potentially life-threatening. The more severe, invasive form of this illness has the germ spreading to other parts of the body instead of just staying in the throat. No matter which form of strep a person has, treatment is needed.
Antibiotic prescription is essential for Group A strep infections.
The current shortage is limited to the liquid form of amoxicillin, which is easier for kids to take than pills. But the American Academy of Pediatrics says there are other options.
You could use the chewable tablets. You could use, the tablet form, which can be crushed and mixed in various, palatable foods like applesauce, etc. And then you could also use capsules.
There are alternative therapies too, like penicillin. Talk to your doctor about the right option for you. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Ariana, have you ever had to go get a passport? I mean, I still have nightmares thinking about that wait.
I definitely have, and I agree it was the worst time. But it's actually not so hard anymore, and actually, our reporter Crystal Prentice has more on what you can do and why it's so difficult to get a passport and what you can do about it.
Thanks, Ariana. As summer quickly approaches, the U.S. Department of State is dealing with a record passport backlog. Last year, there was about 22 million passport applications. About 40% of them were renewals, and this year it's already 40% ahead of that pace. Alex Ramsey with All Aboard Travel says not only are there more people traveling due to COVID-19 cases going down, but since the pandemic, many people's mindsets have changed. The U.S. passport wait times are up to 10 to 13 weeks for standard and 7 to 9 weeks for expedited service for a $60 upcharge. The State Department has hired hundreds of new workers and is paying for thousands of overtime hours every week due to the excessive applications. A common slip-up is not knowing children under 16's passport expires in 5 years instead of 10. Another problem is some countries require at least 6 months validity left when travel. So the State Department suggests looking up countries before traveling to see if there are any special travel restrictions. Although it's an expensive fee if they help, the State Department does have emergency services at 26 facilities across the country for those traveling within 2 weeks. And there are expediting companies that do similar services as well. That's all I have on the delay in passports today. Back to you at the desk.
My number one traveling rule, check the weather before you go. But me personally, I'm trying to go somewhere like the beach where the sunshine is, maybe a Mai Tai in my hand, a good vibe,
Yes, and I mean, if you're looking for good weather, you don't have to look too far because luckily it's real nice in Denton. Right, Victor?
Thanks, y'all. And yeah, sure, you don't have to look very far for good weather. But you're gonna have to look past our own planet to see these colors. Cassiopeia A is the youngest known supernova remnant in our galaxy, with its glowing gas and dust, the last of the remains of that exploded star. The James Webb Space Telescope captured a new colorful infrared image of that remnant, revealing colors not previously visible to the human eye. The image also revealed a bright green loop, which researchers have nicknamed Green Monster. And looking back into Denton, we're not planning to see any weather monsters here. As you can see, we're seeing kind of similar temperatures all across North Texas. Everything low 70s, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing sporadic, right? And then looking at the greater state map of Texas, we're gonna be seeing, again, your jaw's gonna drop when you see these temperatures are all the same again. Low 70s, maybe El Paso at 75 degrees. What are you doing, El Paso? Stick with the trend over here, but even Oklahoma and Louisiana, they're all in the low 70s, all sunny. It's crazy. Looking at later this week here in Denton, we're gonna be seeing almost the exact same thing, a little bit more variety though. As you'll see today and tomorrow, we're gonna be getting all sun with a high of 78, high of 81. Then on Friday, we're gonna be getting a little bit more cloud with a small chance of rain as well, 15% chance. So keep an eye out for that, but it's unlikely. Coming into the weekend and Monday, we're gonna be seeing sun, sun, sun again with highs in the high 70, low 80s. And then Tuesday, that's the main day you want to watch out for. Next Tuesday, we're going to be getting some clouds early on in the day, partly cloudy. Then towards the middle of the day, before nightfall, we're going to be seeing a little bit of rain, maybe some storm, some PM showers right there. And then after that, though, we're going to be seeing clouds again later on that day with a 39% chance of that rain happening. So as you can see, very normal day, very normal weather throughout the whole week here in Denton. That's all I got for y'all. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Victor. When we come back, we'll take a look at one superstar turned mayor.
And we'll tell you about the most expensive pair of shoes ever. Stick around.
Can I see your voter registration, please? All right, you're good. No registration, no entry. All right. Let me see your voter registration card, please.
I'm not registered to vote.
No registration, no entry.
Dude, my friends are already in there.
No registration, no entry.
What the?
Join the club. Register to vote today.
I'm here to rescue you.
Oh, my prince.
No sofas.
This story's going to be awesome.
Did you know you have access to video equipment like DVDs, video games, and cameras? That's right, you do. Come on down to Chilton Library and fulfill your media dream. Located on the bottom floor next to the student sculpture. Hope to see you there soon.
Hey girl, you know you look good. I like the way you move and groove. I'm not sure.
Has the weight of stress and anxiety ever felt too heavy to overcome? Wish there was a safe place to confide in? Wish granted. At UNT, we offer counseling and testing services to students located on the 3rd floor of Chestnut Hall. UNT, we're here for you.
now or never, and you insinuating that you think. You know, I just cannot get this Die For You remix song out of my head.
That's literally me with
So
Gwen
good.
Stefani's Sweet Escape. But luckily, our very own Isabella Quintanilla has some tips and tricks on how to combat that broken record in your head.
Thanks, guys. I will say that was some great singing. I really enjoyed that. You know when a song is all you think about and you just can't get it out of your head? Well, a new study on earworms or involuntary musical imagery shows that they wriggle into our brains when we're relaxed, and that's what causes a song to loop in your head. A researcher from the University of New South Wales Arts and Media School found that certain songs are more catchy because they're repetitive and our brains are familiar with them. While most people find earworms pleasant, you can get rid of them by either finishing off the music, consciously thinking of another piece of music, or by removing yourself from words or memories that trigger the music. Now, if you currently have an earworm and are looking for a solution or just wanting to hear some new music, the UNT College of Music will be hosting their senior recitals for the rest of the semester, so be sure to check those out. Speaking of earworms, I was listening to some Taylor Swift this morning, and now her songs are on repeat in my head. Thankfully, our segment anchor, Kennedy Fowler, has some news on Swift that might stay on your mind all day. Kennedy, take it away.
Grammy Award artist Taylor Swift and her longtime boyfriend, Joe Alwyn, have entered Splitsville. Yes, you heard it here, right for the first time. The former lovebirds called it quits. Sources close to Swift confirmed the news to various news outlets saying, quote, Taylor and Joe broke up a few weeks ago and they simply grew apart and plan to remain friends. The pair first started dating back in 2016, keeping their relationship private and low-key from the world. Swift has said they avoided strange rumors in tabloids during their relationship. Alwyn has been featured in several Swift songs, including playing the piano on the Folklore album. Even though it seems mutual, Swifties need to look out for that new post-breakup music. Breakups have not stopped this pop star from taking the world by storm, and it won't stop her now. Taylor Swift has many titles and awards, but government official is now on her resume. On Monday, the mayor of Tampa announced that on social media that Swift will be given a key to the city while being an honorary mayor for the day. The city has already changed its Twitter account username to City of Tampa, Taylor's version. Hillsborough County has even posted its official name change to Swiftboro in honor of the singer. This all comes after Swift's stop in Tampa for a 3-day concert series, a part of her The Eras Tour, starting on April 13th. I don't know about you, but Swift fever is real. Maybe President Biden might allow her to be president for a day. That's all for Seen and Heard. I'm Kennedy Fowler. Back to you ladies at the desk.
Thank you so much, Kennedy, for our Swiftie information. You know, I have been completely out of tune with sports. I have absolutely no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, with school and work, I just feel like I don't have time to look at these key events going on.
Well, luckily for y'all, I've got all the news you need. The Rangers are on a roll, and athletes are showing up in D.C. to stand up to a bill that they don't agree with. But I've got more for y'all after this.
What does Talents do?
So I'm the Vice President of External Relations for Talents. That means that I basically oversee all the external committees. Our external committees entail our Model A, it's a mean green machine. So they bring it to football games especially, so every game it's kind of there, every home game. The Model A is like a symbol of UNC pride, and it's a big tradition that we are so lucky to uphold and maintain. When people look at it, they see it, and they're like, oh, that's the mean green machine. There must be a game today or something to ramp up school spirit for basketball, softball, volleyball, any of those things. We have amazing teams, so we just want to show school spirit for them. Bonfire Committee, which is in charge of putting together the bonfire every year for homecoming. It's kind of just a whole semester-long process up until Build Week that we have to put together and oversee and make sure safety regulations are followed and risk management is taken care of. Cannon Crew, which oversees and takes care of the cannon. They fire it at games, they take it to special occasions.
Can I see your voter registration, please? All right, you're good. No registration, no entry. All right. Let me see your voter registration card, please.
I'm not registered to vote.
No registration, no entry.
Dude, my friends are already in there.
No registration, no entry.
What the?
Join the club. Register to vote today.
Professional athletes, including Megan Rapinoe, Sue Bird, and others, signed an open letter opposing federal bill H.R. 734. This is the bill that states that Title IX compliance requires a federal ban of transgender and intersex girls and women from participating in sports. The letter was sent to the House of Representatives and mentions that these athletes believe those impacted should be able to have access to sports, rounding out the letter saying that our deepest hope is that transgender and intersex kids never have to feel the isolation, exclusion, and othering that these bills seek to enshrine into law. The way too early record shows that the Rangers are a pretty good baseball team. They beat the Royals last night in extra inning walk-off fashion. It came from a 3-run bomb from Jonah Heim in the bottom of the 10th inning. Fans saw another fantastic outing from Jacob deGrom, who pitched 7 innings, striking out 9 while allowing 2 runs in his outing. However, it's not all good news for the Rangers, as star shortstop Corey Seager came out of the game with hamstring tightness in the middle of the 5th after hitting an opposite field double into left field and awkwardly rounding second base. Despite last night's game going into extra innings, the game was still less than 3 hours long. We're just about a week and a half into the season, and the pitch clock is hands down the biggest change in the game. Outside of the games that have been double-digit runs for each team, games have been comfortably around 2.5 hours, with the shortest game of the season coming from the Marlins when Sandy Alcantara threw a complete game against the Twins, clocking in at just under 2 hours. That's all I have for sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Jordan sneakers are still making history, but it's on the auction block instead of the basketball court.
The NBA's legend black and red Air Jordans 13s are the most expensive sneakers ever to sell at an auction, selling for $2.2 million at Sotheby's in New York.
Jordan wore the shoes in 1998 when he brought home a victory for the Chicago Bulls during Game 2 of his final championship. This sale replaces the 2021 record set by another pair of Jordan sneakers that sold for nearly $1.5 million.
No, I don't ever see myself spending that much money on a pair of shoes. That is completely crazy.
I mean, me neither, but maybe if I become a billionaire one day, I might start up my own shoe collection. Who knows? Well, that's all we have for you. Thank you for watching ntTV News at Noon.
Join us again tonight at 6 and tomorrow at noon here on North Texas Television.